Good afternoon, grade 8. So we're going to go through the cash receipts and cash payments journal today. If you're doing this in the morning or good evening, then good morning and good evening. This is John Falkvan from Good Better Best Tuition Services. I just want to go through the CRJ and CPJ for the grade 8s. So here's an example of a question that we got from South Peninsula High School. So if we have a look at this question, when it comes to just before I do the journals with you, I just quickly want to go through how we need to select which journal we need to post it to. So the first thing is when you read the transactions, it says complete the headings and record the following transactions in the correct subsidiary journals. So I've done that already. So the purpose of the cash receipts journal is that we want to record the money we've received, that's the cash receipts, and the money that we've paid will go into the cash payments journal. So we're busy with the books of a business. In this case, the name of the business is Daniel's Dealership. And most of the time it's either going to be businesses that buy and sell products or businesses that provide a service. So in this case, it's a business that buys and sells. So you'll notice here it says that in this case he uses a markup of 25% on all cars sold. So this type of business buys cars, adds 25% on top of what they purchase for it, and then they sell it at a profit. But what you'll notice most of the time is they give us the selling price and we're going to have to work out the cost price. So just to understand, the first thing you have to look at is look at your transactions and decide, is the business receiving money or is the business paying money? So that's the most important question you have to ask yourself. Is the business that I'm doing the books for, so you're doing the books for Daniel's Dealership, are they receiving money or are they paying money? So if you look at the first transaction on the first, in fact, let's first complete the headings, which is 4.1. So it's Daniel's Dealership. So in this particular exercise, I'm just going to go down to show you guys more or less what is given to you. So what they do is they give you this over here, right? They give you the cash receipts journal and they give you the cash payments journal. So I just want to, unfortunately my screen doesn't show the entire cash receipts journal, but that's more or less how your headings look. It's a document number, day, details. So we just need to complete the cash receipts journal of the name of the business for the particular month that we're working in. So that's basically what we need to do. Okay, let's go back to the actual question. I just need to rotate this a bit for us. Okay, so that's the accounting equation, but this is what we're doing now, the cash receipts and the cash payments journal. So we need to look at what's the name of the business. So in this case, it's Daniel's Dealership. So I've just set up the basic format for us. So what we need to complete there is the cash receipts journal of Daniel's Dealership. And then you'll see there's another thingy there that says for. So now we need to look for which particular month do I have to do it for, and you can see there that that's the transactions for August. So it will be for August 2017, and I would do the same thing over here. Sorry guys, it would basically just be Daniel's Dealership for August 2017. So what you'll notice here is that you are doing the books for a business for a specific month. Okay, so when it comes to the cash receipts journal, and sometimes you'll put the cash receipts journal 1, cash payments journal 1. So these are the columns. So let's talk about the columns quickly before we actually do the transactions. So if you look at the document number, whenever transaction takes place, we've got a document. So we have to put down the document number there. So when it comes to the cash receipts journal, it's either going to be a receipt or cash register roll. When it comes to the cash payments journal, it's normally the bank statement or it's going to be the check counterfoil number. So a document is used when a transaction takes place. Like if you go to the shop and you buy something, they give you a receipt. So that's called a source document. So that's the document, the day. When it comes to the details, okay, so the details for the cash receipts journal, that refers to the name of the account, that refers to the name of the person who you're receiving the money from, or the name of the business you're receiving the money from. Unless it's cash, then you're going to write cash. Name of payee over here in the CPJ, that's the name of the person that you are paying. So receipts, receiving money, payments, you're paying money. Analysis of receipts and bank kind of goes together. Analysis of receipts means you've received money but it didn't go to the bank. So for example, when you receive two amounts on one day, it will go into analysis of receipts. For example, you might receive 1,000 Rand and then another 2,000, but then what goes into bank would be 3,000. Do you guys see that? Because that's the bank amount is what you physically put into the bank account of the business. That's just an example that I did with you guys. Okay, so I think we're ready now to actually go ahead. Before we go ahead, we're always going to put the amounts in analysis of receipts, bank. Obviously, we'll fill this information in over here. And then after bank, we must put it into one other thing, or sometimes two. If it's sales, we've got to put it into sales and work out our cost of sales. But sometimes it could be, for example, bank, and then if it's not sales or cost of sales, we'll put it here under sundry accounts and we'll complete the details. And the CPJ works in a similar way, but the CPJ, you'll notice, does not have an analysis of receipts. And the reason it doesn't have an analysis of receipts is because you're just going to make a payment. Okay. And then it's the same principle. So let's go ahead and do it. So firstly, if we look at the first transaction there, it says the owner, K. Daniels, increased his capital by 70,000. Receipt number 54 issued. So we know that the receipt number there is receipt number. Document number would be number 54. And then we have to go and look at the day. The day is the 1st. Okay, so the day is the 1st. The details is who did we receive the money from? We received it from K. Daniels. And the amount we received was 70,000. Now what's important is to go have a look over there on the 1st and see, did we receive any other money on the 1st? No, we didn't receive any other money on the 1st. So all we would do is that 70,000 Rand would go into bank as well. And then by sundry accounts, we're going to put 70,000 because that wasn't a sale, remember? And then here we're going to just write down the name of the account that's involved. There would be capital. So the next transaction over there, that was the first transaction. The next one is we paid CNA for stationery, check number 61. So once again, the question we ask ourselves is, did we receive money or did we pay money? So in this case, we as a business have paid for stationery from CNA. The check number is 61. So firstly, document number 61. The day in this case is the 8th of August. So over here we're just going to write down the 8th. We bought it from CNA, so we're going to write CNA over there. How much did we pay for it? We bought stationery for 940 Rand. So then we're going to have in bank 940. And there is a column for stationery, so then we'll write it in that stationery column over there. Right. Next transaction. Cash sales according to the cash register roll was 40,000 Rand. Cash sales according to the cash register roll 19 was 40,000. So the document number there is 19 because I've received money. You can indicate the CRR 19, and over here you could have indicated R for receipt 54, but generally that's not such a big deal. But we've got here cash sales according to cash register roll. That's on the 12th. I was just looking for the date there. The date there was the 12th. Okay. Now by details here, we don't know who we received it from. So it was cash sales. So some people would write cash sales and other people would maybe just write cash there. So we've received cash. That's who we received the money from. It was cash. It wasn't a person. So you can have cash there. And in total, we obviously sold a car and we sold that car for 40,000 Rand. So that was 40,000. Now remember, with the cash receipts journal, we need to make sure that there wasn't another transaction on the same date. So in this case, there wasn't another transaction on the same date. We're on the 12th, and that amount was 40,000. So we write 40,000 over here. It was cash sales, so it's 40,000. But in this case, we have to work out our cost of sales. So the way we work out our cost of sales is we've got to take the 40,000 multiplied by 100 divided by 125, right? So if you have your calculators, grab your calculators and check if you can work that out. So it's 40,000 multiplied by 100 divided by 125, and you'll see that you get an amount of 32,000 Rand. So that's your cost of sales amount, and that amount would go over here, 32,000 Rand. Right, the next transaction. On the 18th, we had another cash sales of 32,000. Now, if this was CRR 19, the next one will basically be CRR 20. So now we just add to the particular date over there, and that was on the 18th, 32,000. So our cash sales on the 18th, and there was no other sales there, so that's on the 18th, cash 32,000. So here by bank we're going to have 32,000. Sales is 32,000. What some people do is they just draw a line there to indicate that that was the only transaction for that particular day. And then our cost of sales, once again, grab your calculators and you say 32,000 multiplied by 100 divided by 125. It gives us cost of sales of 25,600 Rand. Right. Then the next transaction over there is on the 22nd. We paid Caltex. So we paid for repairs and fuel. Now, take into account, you would have maybe wrote out one check. So it's one check for repairs and fuel. And the amount there is 2,500 if you work it out. The repairs was 2,500 and the fuel was 850. Okay, so it was on the 22nd. We paid the Caltex garage. So all we do is we look at the fact that the previous check number was check number 61. So now it means the next check number will be check number 62. Although we're living in an era where we're starting to not use checks that much, so people normally do normal transfers via EFTs directly from their bank accounts. So that's on the 22nd, and it's Caltex. They're saying Caltex garage, so I don't have enough space there, but you can write out Caltex garage in full. And then the first amount there was 25 and the second one was 850, but the total amount is 3,350. Okay, so then the 2,500 would go first, and then the 850 would come second. Okay, so that's how we do that particular transaction. And then we just have to indicate that the 2,500 was for repairs and the 850 was for fuel. Okay. Then the next transaction after the 22nd was on the 25th. We received 4,100 from Laika Davids for renting out part of our storeroom. So the question is, did we receive money or pay money? In this case, we have received. As a business, we received 4,100 on the 25th, right? So that would be the 25th. Now notice something, guys. Your last receipt was number 54. So this isn't a cash register roll. The cash register roll is that roll that you have in the till. But this, in this case, it was a receipt that we would have given our the person, our tenant, that was renting out part of our storeroom. So the name of that particular tenant was Laika Davids, right? So we received it from Laika. Apologies for taking time here. So that's L-A-E-E, L-A-E-E. L-A-E-E-Q, Davids. And the total for that particular amount was, we rented out the storeroom for 4,100 Rand. 4,100. So we're going to put in analysis of receipts is 4,100. Bank is 4,100 because we didn't receive any other amounts for that particular day. I'll just make sure of that. And what did we receive it for? That was for rent income. So we'll write rent income in the details column over there. So that was Laik David's, right? And then on the 27th, we cashed a check for wages for 6,700. So on the 27th, again, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move down a little bit. So that particular date was the 27th, right? So that's the 27th. Notice I'm skipping a line there because we've used that line of 850 for fuel there. So the next check could have been check number 63. Now it was wages and we've cashed the check, so we can write cash there. Technically what happens on the check itself, you'd write the word cash. But like I said, we don't, we'd have to go draw the money in terms of the bank. These days you don't have to technically write out a cash check to get it, but in the past that's what would have happened. And that's 6,700 rand, right? 6,000. So what happened here, guys, was that we've got people, we're obviously paying them cash, and so wages normally gets paid on a weekly basis. So we drew the cash and then we'll basically pay the guys cash, right? So then the next transaction over there on the 30th, we bought 2 vehicles at 23,400 each. Now notice here, it was 2 vehicles, so it means that we've got to now take the 23,400 and we need to multiply that by 2. Okay, and that was on the 30th. So on the 30th, my document number now will be the next check number 64. They don't say who I bought it from, so I can just write their cash. The amount is 46,800 because I took that 23,400 times 2. And then I'm going to have over here by Sunday accounts because I don't have a column. So if there's no column for what I bought vehicles. So that 46,800 rand would basically go over here, and there I have vehicles. So now I've basically entered all the transactions for the month. So the first thing was I did my headings. I sorted out my headings. Now I've entered my transactions in my cash receipts and cash payments journal. And then the last step is basically to do my totals. Okay, so I don't have to do a total for the analysis of receipts column, but I need to do the total for everything else, right? So I'm just going to make this, you guys don't have to do it in red. I'm just doing it so that you can see it nice and clear. So that's my totals there. I'm going to do that for the CRJ. And then my totals for the CPJ. In this case, we never bought any trading stock, so I don't really have to worry about that too much. Okay, so there I've got my totals, and I would now basically just add my totals, and that would basically be the end of it. So, for example, you've got your total for for the Sunday accounts column would be the 70,000 plus the 400, so that's 74,100. You'd add your total over here. What do we have there? That's a 600. That's a 75. And then here we've got 72,000. And then for bank, we'd have to add the bank up. Let me just add that up quickly. So if you grab your calculators there, it's a 70,000 plus 40,000. That gives us 110,000. Plus 32,000 plus 4,100. So it gives us an amount here for bank of 146,100. And what you'll notice is that when you add up your sales and your Sunday accounts column, so if you take the 72,000 of sales plus that amount of 74,100, you'll get to your bank amount, because the bank is the total amount you've received for the month, and it comprises of the sales amount as well as the Sunday accounts. When it comes to the CPJ, Apologies guys, we have to actually do the total for bank as well. Okay, so what we do over here now is our total for the Sunday accounts is the 2,500 plus 850 plus the 46,800. So this total over here is 50,150. You've got 940 over here, 6,700, and then we've got 940 plus 3,350 plus 6,700 plus 46,800. I just want to end off by saying, guys, that when it comes to the CRJ, oftentimes it's services rendered. So when you're a company that renders a service like a hairdresser or whatever, instead of having sales and cost of sales, you might have something called current income over here. So sometimes you'd have a current income column. Okay, in this exercise we didn't have current income, and then what the guys do in the details column, whenever you render a service, you call it services rendered, and then you have your amounts in bank and current income. So that's really the only difference, but in this case we had to work out, remember, we had to work out the cost of sales. I trust this helps you guys in terms of the cash receipts and cash payments journal. Sometimes the guys would at the bottom of each of the columns that indicate to which ledger it would be posted to. I'm not covering that in this particular lesson. But basically each of this would then be posted to the general ledger. I'd have to do an extra video for you guys for this. I trust you guys found this particular video useful and that it makes a bit more sense to you. Thank you.